All right, we are joined in studio. This is a topic that I've been reading about a fair amount, Brandy. We've been talking about it off air and wanted to get somebody who knows a thing or two about the tattoo industry to talk about it. We got Ken from Black Cherry Tattoos. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm doing great, Deuce. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, you know what? There's some interesting stuff going on in the industry, and I don't think people necessarily know the depths and how significant it is to tattooing. But before we get into that, your resume and your pedigree in the tattoo industry, specifically in the Hudson Valley, is pretty significant. Why don't you talk a little bit about your shop and how long you've been in the area doing tattoos?
Well, I've been in the area for 28 years tattooing. I owned a couple of shops in the Poughkeepsie area. I'm currently in LaGrangeville, and I own Black Cherry Tattoo Studio. I've been there for about 3.5 years after taking a 5-year sabbatical. Just kind of got a little burnt out from the business.
Yeah.
But I'm back and strong and have 7 wonderful artists who work for me. Cool shop.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of unlike any other environment when you hang out in a tattoo shop. It's really cool. It's kind of like it's like the vibe you get from kind of hanging out at the at a barber shop or something, but with art. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
a little bit like that. So clearly, you know a thing or two between being an artist yourself and running it, knowing the business end of things. There's a law, it actually was passed, right, that's going to really affect things. Why don't you tell us about what the law is and why it's such a big deal?
Well, the law is a big deal. It affects all tattoo artists and our clients on a very broad spectrum. Mm-hmm. The law was passed. It's going into effect December 12th, and it regulates the fact that we need to use a single-use, one-time deal for our inks, mm-hmm. where it's just going to turn into a large money-making game for big industries that supply us with our inks, and that cost is going to be put back off onto our client.
So what it stands currently, what you've got is you've got bottles of ink and you've got caps that you fill, and you can kind of do what you want to. You can blend colors. There's any color under the sun available, right? And now they're about an ounce or so, the bottles?
The bottles are an ounce, and they go up to about 8 ounces, depending on the type that you want to buy and how much work that you have.
Okay, so what they're saying is now you have to use these individual, basically for to simplify things, individual caps, one at a time, limits the amount of colors you can use, and it kind of prevents you from blending a little bit, and it's a lot more expensive, right?
So it's twice as expensive as the bottles of ink are, and the quality of the ink it's subpar.
So what inspired this? Why what do they think this is going to remedy?
Well, back a couple of years ago, I believe there was a hepatitis outbreak down in Rockland County, or a hepatitis scare, and the government just kind of overstepped their bounds and just said, to protect the public, we're just going to do this. And they passed a law without even speaking to tattoo artists or getting any education from the public as to why they need to do this. I think it was just kind of, let's be more safe than sorry.
Yeah, we gotta be tough on hepatitis. We gotta be tough on this without really understanding the industry too much.
Well, there's something that you shared with us off the air, is that you do not have to be licensed to be a tattoo artist in the state of New York outside of Manhattan, right?
Outside of Manhattan and some boroughs in Long Island, you have to be licensed, but in Dutchess County and the surrounding counties, there's no licensing necessary.
And you've been campaigning for a long time, right?
Yeah, back in the early 90s, I tried to do that, and the health department and the county legislators just basically told me they had bigger fish to fry, and they didn't want to have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have the money in the budget to hire someone to go around to check all the tattoo studios, and I even offered to do it for free. Being an artist, I know what to look for. And they just basically shunned me away.
Which obviously is the best way to do it, is having somebody, kind of regulating, making sure that people who are doing this procedure,
sure,
and it is a procedure that you need to take seriously.
Yeah, you brought up the point, too, that every time somebody gets a tattoo, this is Deuce's point, that it's almost like you're getting minor surgery.
Absolutely. It's minor surgery.
It definitely changes your life. I mean, you could have a great experience or not so great experience based on the artist and their knowledge.
Sure. I mean, we deal with more bodily fluids during tattooing than your local hair salon does, or nail salon. And these places, they need to be licensed.
All of which need to be regulated. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, and what's interesting to me is that what this seems like is this is going to affect people who are trying to do the right thing and buying the ink through reputable sources. But what's to stop somebody who again, the person who's most likely to cause any health problems is just the guy who decides to tattoo his buddies at his house. What's to stop him from just going online and buying ink?
Well, that's just it. There needs to be regulations on larger companies. For example, eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with a PayPal account can go onto eBay or Amazon and just buy tattoo equipment for next to nothing and tattoo their friends out of their kitchen.
Now, there is a petition, a change.org petition that I've got a link on our website about, so you can go check that out. It needs 50,000 signatures. They're up 46 and change now, so it's clearly it's affected the industry. And I've seen a lot of people, just artists from all over the world, who are responding to this particular legislation because it's kind of sets a precedent that, if the government is allowed to do this, if they're allowed to force you into limited amounts of ink and the way that you do your job, it's going to affect everybody. I mean, if other states start taking this, and you made an interesting point off air that, what they're doing is hoping to kind of regulate New York by doing this, but we are so close here in the Hudson Valley to so many other states.
Yeah, we border like 4 different states.
That what's to stop somebody from just going to another one,
crossing over the border?
Yeah, and you're going to affect the finances of tattoo artists that way. It's going to become more expensive for the client to get something done, right, with these new laws.
Absolutely. I mean, if they raise the prices on me to do this, I have to in turn raise the prices for my customers.
And what I noticed too about tattooing is the people I've talked to end up with a relationship with their tattoo artist, and it's not just one tattoo, it's multiple tattoos and going back to that same person, so your pieces end up with a certain flair or a certain style to them once they all connect. And I can just imagine, I got this piece done in Texas, or I got this piece done in Vermont, and I got this piece done in Pennsylvania, and it's like it's not cohesive for a person.
Sure. I mean, our clients choose to come back to us because of the quality of work that we give them. And with that quality of work is the quality of our supplies. Mm-hmm. And if we have to use inferior, substandard stuff, I mean,
you're paying more for a worse quality outcome.
Sure. So. I mean, these ink shots that they're trying to regulate us to use are very, very low quality and very hard to work with. And good quality tattoo ink stays in the skin that much longer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Look more vivid, last...
Sure, they last for a long time.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to, if you want to read more about it, again, the link is at WRRV.com, the link to the change.org petition, and of course, the link to your shop, Black Cherry Tattoo. You can get all the information. You can get in touch with Ken directly or any of the artists there. At WRV.com, so you can get involved or just read about it and kind of get educated on what's going on in the industry. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it.
It was
really appreciate your time. I can't even speak. I'm so outraged.
There's so much going on with this, and it's got a long way to go.
Yeah.